And I think one of the other things she pointed out very clearly, that's not a one-man show. It really takes a lot of cooperation. And that's sort of our segue into our next presentation on how we doing, how we all working together in Columbia. And Pat Zenner of the Planning Department will talk about that in intergovernmental cooperation. So Pat, please.
Thank you, Larry. Tonight I'm here to present to you some information about the city's efforts in coordinating the various elements that make the city and the county function. Without that coordination, the very things that we all take for granted, such as road maintenance, your water and your sewer that you receive at your homes, fire and police protection, likely wouldn't be as efficient as they are. Summarized, intergovernmental cooperation is the cooperation between or within public agencies, the departments within those agencies, and the boards and commissions created to establish policies and regulations that are designed to enhance and protect the community as a whole. Cooperation among these groups affects all aspects of our region, and from economic development to its growth management strategies. Significant coordination already exists within Columbia and Boone County. Some of those activities are seen, some of them are unseen, some are ongoing, and some are ad hoc and begun when needs arise. In either case, the merging of efforts often results in greater output than if each of the agencies were to undertake the tasks assigned to them independently. Ongoing coordination often involves the city, the county, and another agency, such as the University of Missouri, as it relates to our stormwater management in the community through our joint stormwater permit, the Missouri Department of Transportation in our regional transportation system planning, and the Columbia Public Schools through quarterly meetings between our leaders to discuss issues of mutual interest, many things that normally show up on an election ballot as a bond issue. However, sometimes the city coordinates with other agencies that also offer services that are similar to what we offer, such as the Boone County Fire Protection District. We have a coordinated agreement that deals with response for emergencies, and the Boone County Regional Sewer District and the city through sewer service agreements. Examples of our ad hoc efforts, got a little bit too far ahead of myself. There we go, hold on here. Happy with the clicker here. Ad hoc examples include coordinated planning between the city and the county's planning departments in developing regional planning studies. The most current that we've created was the East Area Plan, 21 square mile area plan east of town. We also see coordination between the city and private businesses, such as that occurred with the reconstruction of Williams Street into a signature street out by the Boone Hospital. And coordination between the city and other state agencies, such as the Missouri Department of Conservation, in where we swapped some land with the Department of Conservation in order for them to be able to get a parcel to build on. If these ongoing efforts and ad hoc efforts don't occur, what results? Well, violation of federal regulations as it relates to our stormwater permit, for one, roadway improvements lacking a coordinated focus, and less coordination in advance of election cycles. Obviously, we don't want to have ballot issues that we're competing for potentially a tax increase from the city and maybe the school district. We also have a greater opportunity for personal loss. Think about what would happen if we didn't have a fire service agreement and you lived in the county, but you were supposed to receive fire service from the city. It may not happen. We could have a greater environmental impact if we didn't coordinate our sanitary sewer service provision to where people that live on the fringe of the city could have connection opportunities into a public system. And we would obviously probably have greater fragmentation of growth. We already have a pretty jagged boundary. Lack of coordination could further that. And finally, we'd likely end up with a community that was built on individual interests, not those looking out for the collective good. Cooperation and coordination between governmental entities is sometimes born out of necessity, as is in the case of our water, sewer, and electric provision within our region. It's not uncommon if you're a resident that lives in the city to receive potentially service from a utility that's not city-owned or operated. These services often have defined boundaries or territories that are not easily realigned, so coordination among the providers is essential. It is not uncommon for these providers to share information back and forth to ensure that we have the greatest efficiency within our utility systems to ensure that we're providing the highest level of service to our residents. And in certain instances, special agreements or arrangements are entered into to permit utilities to provide service outside of their typical service boundary. And the most notable of these is the sewer service agreements that exist between Boone County Regional Sewer District and the city sewer utility. This graphic here illustrates our various water districts within the region. Without the coordination between our water districts and our city water service, you obviously wouldn't probably get water in an effective manner, and we'd probably have difficulty providing our local businesses with it as well. And not unlike the last slide, this slide shows that there are several agencies that provide sewer within our region. As I've spoken, the city and Boone County Regional Sewer District have several interconnection agreements, which are the represented colors on this map, that provide for the efficient and effective removal of sewer from our neighborhoods, our industrial parks, and our commercial areas. Without these types of agreements and the cooperation that occurs between these entities, we would likely have a greater impact upon the environment as well as the quality of our own lives. As the above ongoing, ad hoc, and territorially coordinated efforts illustrate, the city and those affiliated with its growth and development practice cooperation and coordination on many levels. Maintaining and enhancing the coordinated and cooperative efforts assists in us driving our community forward in a positive direction. Without such coordination and cooperation, it's likely that these governmental entities would basically evolve into division, and we would be looking for our own. The purpose of preparing the new comprehensive plan is to provide guidance to our local elected officials on where future growth and development should go. To assume that we will not grow into the county is futile and not realistic. Likewise, to believe that there's no need to coordinate amongst our various entities to ensure that we have successful future development is equally unrealistic. The new comprehensive plan will have effects well beyond where we are today. So given these facts, you may be asking yourself, how do I make an impact relating to intergovernmental cooperation? Well, let me leave you with these final thoughts. You make an impact when you participate in the process, such as playing here in this forum with us today, talking at public hearings, and at the ballot box by voting. When you choose to serve on a community board, commission, or a task force, there's always an opportunity. And by completing the questionnaire that Larry had talked about at the end of this presentation, your comments and your observations are going to help us develop a plan that's representative of the community and help us to also identify areas that we've overlooked within this presentation tonight. And finally, I want to leave you with this one last question to ponder. Do you feel intergovernmental cooperation is relevant to you as an individual and to our community as a whole? And is it important to yours and our community's future? If you do, you can be part of us helping shape how we move forward with these efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat. And I have to say, Pat's been the one that made all the other presentations work just fine, and it's kind of ironic. You know, he's put all these together and put in all kinds of time and worked with everybody to get all their presentations down. And so, Pat, I don't know what the universe is telling you, but yeah, but Pat's worked real hard, and it's you know it's interesting that yours was the one that had a glitch or two in it. So I don't know, but I think that hopefully Pat's presentation has given you a little bit insight into how there's a lot of cooperation going on between the different governmental entities. And one thing I'll say is between the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Comprehensive Planning Task Force are also representative of a lot of those different governmental entities, and the diversity of that and the cooperation they bring to this is another way that there's cooperation going on.